What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here. As you guys can see up on the screen right now, I have the LCK standings pulled up. We see the top 5 teams in the LCK right now. We got Gen G, Red Force, Damwon, Freaks, Sandbox, and you'll notice you actually have to click this arrow to see some of the other teams, like T1. Yes, they are tied for 5th place, but for whatever reason, Google just didn't want to put them in the top 5. I just think it's kind of funny that, out of 10 teams and only 4 teams making it to Worlds from Korea, from the LCK right now, T1 sits outside of that group. So things already weren't necessarily looking great for T1. Obviously, they're off to not the best start in the world, especially compared to T1's historical standards. But it seems like things are going to start getting a lot worse because there was a lot of drama and craziness and everything coming out of T1 today. So there is a lot to talk about. We're going to be making the video today. T1 is finished. A follow-up to my G2 is finished video that did very, very well. My Team Liquid is finished video that did, still pretty dang well. And we'll have to see how this one does too. So I definitely appreciate it if you guys did drop a like on it. It helps me out so much, the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content and consider checking out my Patreon, patreon.com/IamGerm, if you guys want to receive extra bonus exclusive videos every single week. With that being said, here we go, getting right into this. So the reason that everyone is talking about T1 right now is, one, just because they are a huge team, popular, massive fan base, not only in Korea, but really all over the world. And again, they're struggling right now. There's some questions of whether or not this team will make it to the 2021 World Championships. There is question from a lot of people in the West of whether we will get to see Faker at an international event this year. Obviously, we didn't get to see him at MSI when we had the LCK Spring playoffs, where T1 got knocked out 3-0 against Gen G in the semifinals. And then now, again, top 4 teams make it, and right now T1 is outside of that group. Yeah, they are tied for 5th. Maybe you could say they're 5th, but they're like in the 5th or 6th position right now. But again, things are going from bad to worse for T1 because the announcement they put out today, the news they put out today, this is a tweet that comes from Ashley Kang, is head coach Danny and coach Zifa leave T1. They put out a message from T1. T1 has terminated the contracts of Danny and Zifa after careful consideration and internal evaluation over the past few months. We are making this change at this point in an effort to reinvigorate our team's chances of success with 8 games remaining. Again, that is a very, very crazy part. We are, this isn't spring split. This is summer split. So we're very, very deep into the year. It's July 14th. They have 8 regular season games remaining. Then they have the playoffs where they're going to have to make something happen if they want to go to Worlds. And then they have the World Championships potentially too. And them making a coaching change this drastic, this crazy, getting rid of their head coach and one of their other coaches as well, this late into the season, this close to the playoffs and all that, really, really crazy. Really unprecedented. Something that we didn't expect, something that we don't often see, and something that many people do not really expect or think can be very successful. They did say that they want to thank Danny and Zifa for their contribution and wish them the best in the future. They still have high hopes to finish strong in the LCK and earn a spot at Worlds. Please continue to support our team. Thank you. But man, this is so crazy. This is so weird, and everyone has been saying that this is like the weirdest League of Legends scene ever. Think of all the weird moves that the LCS has done. Think of all the weird moves that the LEC has done. Even in Korea themselves, you have Damwon doing all the roster swaps and position change and stuff that they're doing. Now we have T1 firing their coach. Whether you think Danny is a good coach, bad coach, the right coach for T1, whatever, whether you think he should have been fired, I don't really think there's going to be many people arguing that this was the time to make a coaching decision, that this was the time to make a coaching change. It's very, very difficult to have something like this happen midseason. It's very, very difficult for a new coach to come in, even if they are a good coach, even if they have a good system to implement. Good luck. So again, this is a T1 team that was already struggling. They're sitting at just 500 in the LCK. And again, this is not the LCK of yesteryear, where they are the most dominant region in the world by far. The LCK did not win the most recent MSI. There is an argument that the LCK is the 2nd best region in the world, maybe the 3rd best region in the world, depending on how good you think Europe is. And again, T1 is struggling in that. So in that regard, this is a very big fall from grace from them. Again, if they were already struggling, now they get this whole craziness thrown in. Maybe a new coach will be able to come in and have a miracle happen, but I and a lot of other people just think that that is very, very unlikely. Ashley Kang did also share this, which is some of the T1 players reacting to the news, where she said, meanwhile, the Korean community is drawing attention to the recent solo queue ID changes of some of the T1 players. Elim, Closer, Zeus, and what exactly is going on there is that the bench players are changing their league IDs. Closer's league ID is now So Bad 1. Zeus is This Is a Joke in Korean. Elim is This Is Ridiculous in Korean from his previous Depressed Person. And Gumayushi was ranting and being depressed on stream and messaging Warner about if he was in the wrong last week. So obviously, again, the fan sentiment, the community sentiment on Reddit, Twitter, all that stuff is like, what the heck is T1 doing? This makes no sense. I don't agree with this decision. Even people who didn't think Danny was that great of a coach, even people who didn't think Danny was that great of a fit for T1, who didn't want or hope to see him as a coach of T1 in the future, those people still do not agree with what is going on. And then even the bench players on T1 right now, who have probably had disagreements with the coaches, probably don't agree with all the coaches' decision making and personnel and roster choices, still are saying that this is so bad, this is a joke, this is ridiculous, and they are clearly affected by this news. So I don't get it. The fans don't get it, the players don't get it, the community doesn't get it. I hope someone at T1 gets it, but man, this seems so weird, and this just seems like another instance of what we've seen with T1 in recent years, where their management, their coaching, their infrastructure, their leadership is just a little bit off. It's just not right. And this is not the old SKT organization. This is something entirely different. It is something worse. It is something much more disappointing. And as much as, classic League of Legends fans from back in the day, from some of those original OG teams, as much as we want to see SKT, as much as we want to see T1 be great again, as much as we want to see Faker on the world stage playing his heart out again, it just really seems like those days are behind us, and that is why I am saying that T1 is finished, because this is not the T1 that some people were very, very optimistic to see coming into this season, that were hopeful to see coming into this season. Yes, they've made some big moves. They have some interesting players. They have Teddy. Faker is always going to be that guy. But, man, things have just not worked out, and it seems like things are just getting uglier and uglier. We had some other people chiming in. We had Yamato saying that they play in 8 hours. Again, a very, very weird time for this announcement to be made. Literally on game day, right before a game is scheduled to be played, making a coaching change and stuff like that. But we also have heard that Stardust and Moment will coach the T1 team for the rest of the summer. T1 is obviously asking that everyone supports these two coaches. So we do have coaches put in place. We do know who it is going to be. Yes, T1 does have coaches for their game today, which is at least something good to see. But man, this is some crazy news that nobody expected, and all of a sudden it looks like things are going from bad to worse for T1. Could they still make Worlds? Yes, absolutely. 4 teams make it. They're currently 5th or 6th right now. They only have to get a little bit better, and it's not like the LCK is so tough this year. There's no way T1 can make it in the top 4. But man, even if we do see them at Worlds or anything, I do not have great expectations for T1, and I think ultimately their fans and really the community are probably going to be disappointed. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you do enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this news from T1? You think it was the right call to make a coaching change, or do you think it was absolutely crazy? Did this shock you? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Consider checking out my Patreon. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions over there as well. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!